computer. All right, are we starting? Has it started?
Let me see.
Why do we always do this?
And then in the video, you see everybody like, what's going on? Let me see if I see it.
Hold on, let's see.
I don't see it yet.
Okay, hold on, let's see. Let's see. All right. Okay, you don't see it.
I mean, we're already
live, but I was supposed to, okay, I want to make sure it's live on Facebook though.
Right.
Okay, so.
I don't see it yet.
Okay, oh, choose on your timeline? No, I want it on the page.
On the preview page, right?
Yeah, preview page, here, preview page, let's see. No. Hold on, where'd it go? Hold on. You know, I thought I had it all together. Here we go. Okay, there. Okay, next. Okay. All right, it's loading up again. Well, we're right at 4, so we're right on time.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Do I have anything in my teeth? I just like, I just stuffed like some pizza. I'm gonna be talking. I'm gonna go pizza cilantro.
All right, hold on. Let me put this. Here we go. All right, go live. Okay, go. Add a title. Oh, add a title. Add a live title. The Joy Hour with Joey, Guerra, and Amanda Solis. Okay, here we go. All right. I think it's doing it. Okay, are we live?
Yes.
We are live?
I see it.
I see it. All right.
Hi.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Now, this is Joy Sewing with the Houston Chronicle, and I am back with the Joy Hour. It is a celebration of just living joyfully during this pandemic and talking with people whom I've worked with, interviewed with, and who I adore, just talking about everything that they're doing and life right now. So I have today my special guest, my partner in crime in the newsroom, Joey Guerra, who's the Houston Chronicle music critic. Hey, Joey.
Hi.
And then we have Miss Amanda Solis. Hey, Amanda. I think she's frozen right now.
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen. So Amanda is a Selena tribute artist. She also is her own recording artist in her own right and launched her own solo debut album, I believe this summer, right? This year?
She's put out singles.
Singles, okay.
2 singles.
Singles. So we're waiting for her to get back on. But Joey, what's been going on? How you doing?
Oh gosh, I am good. What's been going on? What hasn't been going on?
All right. Hold on. We started, you all didn't hear the previous conversation before we went live. Joey Guerra interviewed who?
I interviewed Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin, you interviewed. So when was that?
This was Thursday, late Thursday afternoon.
Okay, so if you know about celebrity interviews, you're never quite sure if they're actually going to happen. You get this, might get a call or might get set up, but you're never really sure. So you got Ricky Martin.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, like you said, I mean, you don't want to say anything or announce it or tell your editor even because you're like, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So I waited and I was like, even when I was like, got on the call and it was me and the publicist, I was like, still like, this, is this going to happen?
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden I heard his voice and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm Zooming with Ricky Martin.
All right, so what do you talk about? I'm just curious. We're talking until Amanda gets back on here.
Right. Well, he just launched this thing called Martin Music Lab and Orbital Audio, which is kind of this, it's this audio technology that's like immersive. And by that, when you and it's meant to be heard on headphones. When you listen to music that is processed through this technology on headphones, the music sounds like it's this whole 360.
Surround sound?
Yeah, it's kind of like surround sound, like times 10. Like you'll hear the guitar start here, and then it'll come over here, and then you'll hear another sound here. And I actually tried it, and it really does sound like that.
Really?
So he put out his EP like that earlier this year, and now other artists are going to start putting out music with that technology. So, I mean, that was just announced the day that we talked. He also just got 4 Latin Grammy nominations, so we talked a little about that. So yeah, it was pretty crazy because I've been trying to interview Ricky Martin since like 1999.
That's funny. That is funny.
And it finally happened.
It's finally happened. Was he a nice guy?
Super nice, super, super, super nice, very sincere, you know, exactly the way I think he comes off like on Instagram and social media. That's the way he was, very accommodating and genuine, and you know.
That's fantastic. Well, this conversation, the Joy Hour, was really focused on Selena. And as we wait for Amanda Solis, Selena tribute artist, to get on the Zoom, Joey, tell me, what is it so special about Selena for you? You have been covering, as I said, you have probably covered Selena more than any music journalist out there.
I mean, I've covered her a lot, and I think, I mean, I don't know, it's a tough question because I feel like at this point, it's almost, not that music is an afterthought, but it's so beyond music, I think, for so many people at this point with her, that she's become a person or an entity that's like kind of embedded into your culture, into your DNA, you know? I mean, it feels like she's a part of you every day. I mean, I probably think about Selena or listen to a Selena song or wear a Selena shirt every day. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
I have way too many shirts and I keep buying them.
Okay, so how many Selena shirts do you have?
Oh gosh, I think I was trying to count them not that long ago, and I think I was at about 30. I probably have more because I have hoodies and different things like that, but there's Amanda, I think.
There's Amanda, yeah.
There she is.
There you go. Hey, Amanda.
What the hell?
Can you hear us?
I was like running on the other room. I was like, what's going on? I'm sorry, you guys.
Can you hear? Okay, good. Welcome, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I was nervous. I was like, what's going on? My connection just went blank. I was running into the other room with my laptop like this.
All right, well, welcome, Amanda. Everyone, this is Amanda Solis. She is a Selena tribute artist. She has released a number of singles in her own recording history and a career, and she's an amazing person who I've gotten to know through Joey. And we've done a couple of events, and when I had a radio show, she came on and talked. So welcome. How are you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing great. I'm just glad that I was able to be a part of this. Thank you, Joy, so much for this opportunity. Joey, always thank you for these opportunities. I really appreciate it. It's good to see your face. You're so beautiful. Your hair looks lively.
Well, tell me, how has life been during the pandemic? Let's talk about the coronavirus. I know that you've had experience a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's a huge change, you know, of course, being that we're so active, you know, I've been so privileged and been so blessed to be able to do all these performances, you know, and travel around the world to be able to do these performances and perform as Selena. But of course, like everything came to a halt, you know, we were basically booked and now everything's slowed down, and it's just, it's really hard, you know, especially when you're a social butterfly, you know, I mean, that's, whether it be with family or friends, and you know, it's just such a change because you're like basically isolated for a while, and you kind of like really get into your own head, like it's just not, you know, it's just, this is not the norm, you know. I mean, I'm not an introvert, so I definitely like to be around people and touch and laugh, and you know, and it's a huge change. And again, you know, now that things are opening up little by little, but in the time during isolation, you know, of course, like there wasn't very much to do except for just like a lot of time to think about things and what the new norm was, you know, like this is the new normal. Like, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm used to performing in front of people. I'm used to being in a crowd of people, being around a lot of people. And, you know, just is, it's crazy because like you're trying to find new things to kind of venture out into, right? So yeah, you're sitting there, you know, if you're a creative type of person, which I know that you guys are, you know, I that's whenever I found TikTok, you know, and it's like, what other things can I venture into, you know, to kind of like still kind of communicate with people, not so much on, you know, this is like my third time doing Zoom, you know, obviously I know that this became more popular and what's more in demand because of the new normal, you know, everybody can't be around everybody, so you don't want to get nobody sick or put anybody at risk. But yeah, so like just being at home, trying to find who that Amanda is at home. Again, still trying to be creative and kind of venture out into TikTok. You know, I love to act. I like to be funny. I like to, you know, so that's where I kind of found like another outlet to where it's like, okay, well now they can kind of not only just like the Selena, you know, Amanda Selena tribute, they can see Amanda the everyday, like goofy, funny. That's me, my personality as an actress and things like that. But besides that, I missed being around people.
Sure.
You know, I don't think I ever thought that like we were going to be so separated and just yearning to be around people. So to try to find a way to communicate with everybody being so distant, you know, that was like the thing to do. But besides that, just, you know, I started to find other things to do, you know, like this, communicate with you guys through, you know, Zoom and TikTok and things like that. That's about it, really.
You know what? That's why I called Joey during the week. I'm like, Joey, what you doing? He's like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, because I just want to talk to somebody.
Exactly. Can I please how can I get out of this box? You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, man, you're so used to being so busy that it's like, dang, like now you have time. It's like, okay, I'm tired of like washing clothes and folding clothes. Like, what else can I do? Like, that's not creative. You know, I want to do something fun. You know,
let's talk about Selena and you know, I just read, I was doing the math and she would be 49 this year, which is pretty amazing, and her legacy even long past her death. What has she meant for you?
Wow, she means so many things. I guess, you know, for me growing up, being a Latina, that with, you know, knowing that my family was born and raised in Mexico, I was actually the only one that was born here in the United States. So there's a lot of similarities there as far as, you know, like your family being so ambitious and wanting to show that, you know, that they could do more and live that American dream, you know. And so the people that, like my dad and my mom, were inspired to be entrepreneurs. So the business that they had opened, that's still open till this day, even after they had passed away when I was 6 years old, you know, of course they passed away when I was younger. But we originally moved down here to Texas and from Mexico. Of course, I wasn't even thought of at that time, though. I wasn't thought of. And but my dad opened up his own business. He was a mechanic and also a painter, and his business is still open. It's being ran by the rest of the family. But Selena, growing up listening to her music, my parents were the ones that introduced me to Tejano music. I mean, whenever we had barbecues, there was always an excuse to have a good time. You know, every time, like, it's like, okay, what can we do? Let's just make some hot dogs and we're just gonna go outside, sing, party, you know, whatever. And that's just how it was, you know, barbecuing. My grandma would be out there, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, the family, everybody. So everybody that's basically down here in Texas, because of my mom and my dad, they wanted them to have a better life too. So everybody that multiplied, basically, I have all these cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody. My family is huge, okay? It's overwhelming. But so yeah, growing up listening to Tejano music, of course, I was introduced to Selena eventually. And it was kind of funny because I never had really seen her. I just heard her music, you know, in her younger stages. And my parents were already deceased by this time, and she was performing in Monterey. And I happened to see a clip from her in performing live, and I freaking like just freaked out, like, holy macaroni, like, am I tripping? Like, let me, like, wipe my eyes off real quick. She resembled my mom so much. Again, maybe not the look, but again, her style. You had Madonna, Janet Jackson, all that cool. Like, mind you, that's the 90s.
Yeah.
So my mom was wearing the bustiers, the high-waisted pants, mopping the floor with some tacones on. Tacones are high heels, you know. She really was, like, with a big costume jewelry. She was on fleek, you know, like, she just was. This is her personality. She's very bubbly, and she just always had to be on point. And so when I seen Selena, I was just like, she looks like every other girl that, like, I remember growing up, you know, being, you know, from my mom's side and things like that, and how my mom was. And I was just like, wow, she looks so much like her. And, you know, I just took that with a grain of salt, didn't think much about it. But of course, you know, I followed her through her years, and just was very inspired by her, being a Latina that came from nothing, you know, just wanting to build a life for yourself, wanting to show that you are more than just a label as, like, you're the minority as a Mexican American, of course, because you were looked down upon, because, you know, obviously, like, for me, my stronger, it's funny because when I was born, I was speaking Spanish, but I lost a lot of it because I lost my parents at such a young age. So I had to relearn it again. And so that's why it's so broken. Like, every time I start an interview and I'm speaking in Spanish, I'm like, Lord, por favor, la gallina también. You know, I'm sitting there praying, like, Lord, help me. Because I'm like, oh my God. And it's because it's so broken, because, you know, you don't use it, you kind of lose it. And so my sister who raised me and my brother who raised me as well, we just spoke more English, which they spoke nothing but Spanish too, but they taught me just a little bit, you know. And whatever I knew, that's what I carried with me. So there's a lot of similarities there, and just, you know, it broke so many barriers for Latinos in general, you know, as a Mexican.
Can I also say this? You know, we wouldn't be here if you didn't look like her. You know, I mean, really, you look like her, and you perform, and you just, and it's when I see you, it's like watching Selena. Joey, is that, wouldn't you think that too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first time, and I've said this before, the first time I met Amanda, I didn't know she was a Selena tribute artist. It was through a friend of ours, Morena. And
yeah, that's my girl.
and we went to dinner or lunch or something, and I remember, I think he had a baseball cap on, and it just struck me, that she looked like Selena. And then I think my friend told me that she did that, like, later, and I was like, okay. And then when I saw her, like, do Selena, I mean, I think of and there are several at this point tribute artists all around the country, but honestly, for me, I think as far as all the ones I've seen, Amanda comes the closest, you know, in everything, not just the way she looks, you know, in every sort of aspect.
And even her voice too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when you first started performing as Selena, did you have, you know, I'm sure there was an evolution, but did you go out and just automatically embody? Did you ask for the spirit of Selena to overtake you, or how did that happen?
So I get so passionate when I talk about this, because, like, and I have to try to figure out how to sum this up, but and it makes me emotional too. But it actually really happened by accident. A friend of mine was like, hey, that I graduated with, she was like, hey, let's just go to this bar. They're having like a country night, but my Mama Cass is going to be doing a karaoke contest, and you should just come. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I never really said, hey, I'm going to sing or anything, but she signed me up. So long story short, we end up getting there, having a good time, just hanging out with our friends. Mama Cass calls my name out, and she's like, oh, here you go, girl. Hands me the mic. Oh, it's a remote, but she's like, here's the mic. And I'm like, you know, everybody's gonna be running out of here. Like, the window, I'm gonna bust the windows out and stuff. And so I was gonna sing Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, and it was crazy because that was the first time. I just went out there and did it for fun. And come to find out, it was actually like a legit contest. I got second place that time out of like 30 people. Morena was there, and it was funny because I was like, I didn't think nothing more of it. It transitioned into another performance, and she was like, girl, you're going to have to pick out another song. You're going to have to come back out. This time I was like, you know what? Something inside me just said, it brought back like my mom, you know? So I was like, you know, I'm going to call my sister. the one that raised me, Raquel. I asked, you know, hey, maybe we can go through my mom's old clothes, find some clothes. And girl, a lot of it was already eaten up because it's been years since my parents have been gone. And, you know, Texas weather is hot. So like all the, you know, clothes got eaten. And I dressed up as my mom, and I don't know how long you followed Selena, but Selena, one of the performances that she did, one of the last ones, which was in El Dorado, at the El Dorado bar, right, Joey? It's the green jacket that had the penguin tails. And it was funny because, I mean, obviously that was the era you had Madonna, Janet Jackson that had all the same kind of estilo, the same styles, merry-go-round that they shopped at, you know. And I wore my mom's clothes, but I performed Selena songs. I sang Bibbidi Bum Bum and I sang Que Querías. And I would have never known that people were going to be like, oh my God, like, are you a Selena tribute artist? Like, is this what you do for a living? And I was like, no, like, girl, we're just here to have a good time. Like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm here to have fun. And after that, there was this lady that named Maria that called me, and it just evolved from there. It was almost like it was God sent, really. I really don't know because, like, you know, there's not very many Latinos in general there's no impersonations out there, right? This is like something that there's the Marilyn Monroes, there's the Elvis, you know, Presleys and things like that, impersonations. But have you ever heard of a Latin impersonation?
Right.
Never.
Right.
Up until recently. Now you got more Selenas, which is amazing. That's awesome. And again, you have like the Jenny Riveras, and now people are even doing what's his name, Vicente Fernandez, which I seen one, which is hilarious. You know, so there's more because like this is something that, you know, because Latinos in general are just so passionate and so protective, and they you know, so this was something that wasn't really like known. So for me, I didn't know what to call myself at that time. You know, I didn't call myself an impersonation. I just went out there and did this karaoke contest. And then all of a sudden I started getting calls because the videos started to trend on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram from other people that were there to see those performances that I performed. And then the next thing you know, I am performing for Dr. Phil and so on and so on. It just blew up. And I was just like, wow, like, you know, it's insane. Like, I feel so grateful to be able to do it though.
That's fantastic. Joey, let's talk about in covering Selena. How do you continue to do it on a regular, I mean, like time after time, and not get like, okay, here we go with another Selena story. You know?
I know, you know, and that's true though. You're right about that because like even for myself.
Yeah, how do you do that? Because if I were doing like Prince, like I would never. Prince to me is that. So how for you?
Right. I mean, I think part of it is the fact that we are continually getting new stuff, you know, like just this, you know, the cups and the makeup and the Netflix series and it's in December. I mean, so honestly, there really is always, it feels like there's something new to write about very frequently. Okay. So much so that, you know, on the preview site, there's Selena has an individual category. It's like music, dining, theater, Selena. You know? Yeah, I mean, and it's, for me, I don't know. I don't get tired of writing about it because I think it feels like there's always somebody that doesn't know, not about her, but that doesn't know, you know, maybe the stuff that you know or the stuff that you're writing about. So there's always somebody that's surprised by something, which I think is really cool. And I think I try to maybe find things that are a little bit different. Like I found this guy in Houston who like made his own Selena dolls, and he has like 200, each with a Selena outfit on that he made, you know? And like he sent me pictures of his room, just like these huge, crazy. And then, you know, I interviewed the guy that she worked with, the fashion designer who doesn't do interviews, and somehow I convinced him to talk to me, you know? And so part of it is that, finding stories that are different, you know? And then I think also it's just that, you know, like you said, I mean, I'm such a fan of hers that I like it. I enjoy writing about her. You know, I enjoy letting people know about her because, like I said, even to this day, I think there are still people who maybe don't know everything or want to know more, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that it all kind of goes back to the fact that she was killed so young, you know, on the cusp of so many things. And I think that's what really kind of is propelling her to this day.
And honestly, if I may speak, and that's true, like that's a very valid point. I think that's the reason why. I mean, I'm like more of the flea market version of Selena. But, you know, because nobody could fill those shoes, you know. At the end of the day, I'm Amanda Solis. But the funny thing is, and I think that's the reason why I had grew so much, because it was in demand. People were like, holy mac, I want more. I want more. And then, you know, they know that I'm not her, but for them, it brings back all these amazing, emotional, passionate stories, memories, all these things. And I'm able to just give them a little bit of a salt granule of that, you know. But for them, it's the world, you know, because, I mean, obviously, I can't fill her shoes, but for them to allow me to do that for them. And I think that's, again, it's not, I don't think, I know that's the reason why, because Selena will always be Selena, and she had left such an imprint on everybody and meant so much, whether it be her music or just her as a person, and then Selena as the performer. It allowed me to be able, she paved the way for me, no doubt, you know. And I mean, obviously I have a little bit of resemblance. You see, like if I turn this much, I'm just kidding. If I turn this right there, if I turn this way, you're like, who's that? No, but, you know, and I think that's where, you know, it just brings those great things, and people want more.
Well, you know, Joey and I did a road trip a couple of years ago when Mac unveiled its Selena collection.
Yeah.
And I knew it was big. I knew it was going to be big. I didn't expect 15,000 people to be there. And there were 50
wrapped around.
It was unbelievable. It really was. I knew it was going to be big. I just didn't know how big it was going to be. Joey, were you shocked by that?
I mean, honestly, no.
No, yeah.
I mean,
no.
I think, I don't know what the right word is. I was in awe or overwhelmed at, you know, all that energy for Selena, but I completely expected that. Just knowing from past sort of examples of things, of events, of, you know, whatever, because, you know, I think there's still such a hunger for anything that has to do with her, you know. And obviously, you know, they released that, then they released the second Mac line earlier this year, and then just last week they sold the makeup bag again because everybody wanted it, and it sold out again in minutes. I mean, it's crazy, you know. And I can't say I was surprised, but, you know, I'm continually impressed, I guess, by the draw, you know.
So, Amanda, have you met the Quintanilla family?
Yes, I have. I was very privileged to be able to meet them. Actually, when they actually released the first wax figure in Hollywood, they were doing this contest, and I entered it. And like, it's basically video on why you are a #1 fan of Selena, right? And so I was like, cool, let's do this. So I remade obviously my version of Guerra, and we did that, and I ended up being in the top 5. And what the top 5 allowed you to do, it was we flew out there, we're able to be a part of the VIP, which to see the release of the wax figure first, to be the first 500 to view her, and again to meet the family. So I was able to meet AB, Suzette, and of course Chris. But the mom and the dad were more secretive on the side. I mean, they were busy, you know, doing all kinds of things, but you know, they tried to, you know, their best to you know, say hello to everybody. So it was great. So yeah, that was the first time that I had met them. So that was amazing.
That's fantastic. Now, being a tribute artist, I'm sure that it's wonderful, but then when you want to do your own thing, that you get, you know, people see you as Selena tribute artist. So how do you make that transition? And Joey, maybe you can talk about how artists kind of move into something like that.
I think you're right. I think it's very hard for somebody that's known for something to do something else, whether it is a tribute artist trying to do original music, an actor trying to be a singer trying to be an actor, you know, whatever. But I will say, I think Amanda so far has done a really good job of creating something separate, because the music that she's doing, the original music she's doing, is very different. And the thing is, it's very different, but I think people that follow her as Selena will still enjoy it. So it's really smart what she's done, you know, because, and I think I said this, we did an event together just a few days ago, and I said her music is almost like Tejano on steroids, which to me is really what it is, you know. It's taking all those elements, but it's really amping them up with a lot of energy and a lot of like modern production and things like that, and it's very different, but it's in Spanish. It speaks to things about her culture. You know, it's danceable. I've heard the EP that she has coming out, and I'm super impressed by it. I think it's really, really good. The guy she worked with is so talented and progressive. And I think, you know, if people give her the opportunity and she does this the right way, it could really be big for her.
So, I mean, will you continue to do Selena tributes, or do you go?
So I get asked this question all the time, and I love when people ask me this, because the beautiful thing about it, honestly, is that when God says it's time, I know it'll be time for me to hang up that bustier. But as of right now, it's wanted so much that I'm not allowed to put up my bustier quite yet. So I think when that time comes, I definitely will retire. Hopefully I won't be 80, because then I won't look too good in that bustier.
You never know.
In a walker and everything. Could you imagine? I'm just kidding. And sorry, I'm just joking. But as of right now, like, definitely not. It's not gonna stop for me. I'm basically already booked. Before the whole pandemic happened, I was basically booked till 2021.
Wow.
So, yes. And so that's why we were like, holy macaroni, like, what are we going to do now? Like, what do we do? So basically all that stuff just got pushed back, you know? And so with me, I think forever, I will always be compared to Selena. You know, I can't take my face off. Yes, I do resemble her. I mean, obviously I'm not her. I just have a resemblance. But which I'm very flattered, to have that. I do not boast in this whatsoever, but I think that even as my own artist, I will always be compared to Selena, and I'm okay with that. I mean, because even as a tribute artist, I already got, a lot of hatred, because of that. I mean, that's just going to come in the package, especially trying to follow up with someone that is an icon that broke so many barriers as a woman and a Latina at that, is amazing. So I feel so privileged to be able to do this. But again, so I'll always be compared to her. But it's great that I was allowed that outlet through Selena to be able to create. Now let me introduce you to who Amanda is.
Right.
Because as the Selena tribute, it's funny, people always thought like, oh, she's just acting, like she laughs like that, like she has to hit that certain note, like they think that I practice on the laugh, and I'm like, oh no, like that's my laugh, so I will always be compared to her, but she's allowed me this outlet to be able to live that dream as well. And it just so happens to be that we are similar as far as like what we like to do, and singing and acting and dancing. So
okay, so I'm gonna have to ask, could you sing a little bit of your favorite?
My own song or Selena?
Hear her.
Yes,
my own.
both.
Okay, so which one? Like Loquita, of course. So like Loquita is, well, Quebra la Bota is the first single that came out, right? So the whole initial reason behind the Quebra la Bota song, in English, it's called Break the Boot. Because traditionally in the Spanish, like quinceañeras, weddings and stuff, it's a song that you go out there and you dance as a group and you're stomping to your feet to the beat,
Okay.
I mean, like almost near breaking a boot. And so Quebra la Bota was basically supposed to be introduced to everybody before the pandemic happened, because I was performing at so many quinceañeras. So that's why my EP is actually called the Quinceañera Queen. So Quebra la Bota is, soy de Mero Houston, mexicana de corazón, ya llegué yo lista para cantar esta canción, con orgullo a Piedras Negras donde mis padres son, que en paz descansen, les dedico esta canción, ay, 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 ay. Somos chingones, ay, 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 somos chingones. Quebra la bota, quebra la bota, quebra la bota, hey. Quebra la bota, quebra la bota, quebra la bota, hey. Which is, I mean, obviously, right? Pa la izquierda, la derecha, y sigue con la vuelta, right? So it's if you were to go to quince, which I'm sure you've been to quinces, right, or weddings, Spanish weddings. I mean, yes, one thing is Selena. I'm going out there performing at Selena. People will go out there and maybe dance to like Baila esta cumbia, and then like the floor will go like naked. You know what I'm saying? Out there. And then all of a sudden, these aguapangos come on and these zapateo songs, and it just is flooded with it. All of a sudden, like your grandma didn't forgot her walker on the side. You know what I'm saying? She's out there dancing. And it's true. It's like grandma thought your hip was hurt, and she's out there dancing. And so that was the initial reason, like, to come out with that song, was because there's not very many of those songs from back in the day, so they play them over and over and over. And as Joey, he's a DJ, so I'm sure you play them over. I know it's the same ones over and over. So I just kind of wanted to do my own version of that in a new way. And so that's where Quebra la Bota came from. And then, of course, Loquita, which this one is a little crazy, which Loquita means crazy in English. And this one is basically, they're all based off of my real life, but Loquita was basically, go ahead.
Crazy life.
Yes, that, and sometimes crazy people.
Okay. There you go.
Myself. So, of course I got a lot of backlash, being a Selena tribute, and again, for people, because it's so hard for them to differentiate me and a Selena. So it's like, okay, when is Amanda being Amanda, and when is Amanda being Selena? Like right now, like even though I'm dressed as myself, they're like, oh, okay, well this, she's being Selena right now, but it's not, until like I'm performing, then I'm, prepared to do that. So Loquita is so funny because I actually wrote this song, and my team helped me write it. I was like, it'd be so awesome to come back and be like, you know what, I am crazy. Yo soy Loquita. Because they were like, there's so many comments that I got, like, girl, please. Like, whatever they say, you are not all that, you're ugly, you will never be Selena, like, go kill yourself, just ugly, like ugly things, which I'm sure y'all been through that really before. And so Loquita was like, let me go ahead and make that crazy song and introduce, who Amanda is again, and thank you because the haters basically built your platform too. So it's like, I might have 14 today, please let me have 18 tomorrow, because it's going to make it that much better. You know what I'm saying? They're just, people are going to want to know, they're intrigued by all the drama, of course, who isn't, I like dramas on TV and stuff like that. So Loquita, which that one again was based off of that. So just to go back to tell people, like, hey, you're going to get hated on, you live your life, be happy, and don't go off by what people say, because at the end of the day, I am crazy. Call me crazy. Call me whatever you want.
And that's the most important kind of lesson. Just live your life.
Yeah. And but I know we're human, because I'm human. I'm a very emotional person. Like, I can watch a Pampers commercial and I'm crying because I'm like, oh Lord, I haven't had any kids yet. You know what I'm saying? And I'm crying. I'm a very emotional person, so I understand that. Just getting so much hate. Sometimes you just have to separate yourself from it. You can't just just put yourself in that all the time, because if you do, you're just going to feel that way all the time. But again, so those are where those songs came from. But every song that we've written so far in the EP is just so different. And that's why I'm so excited, because it's just going to give a little piece of Amanda every time. You're like, hold up, what is Amanda? Like, she's here, she's there, she's stomping her feet, breaking a boot, she's crazy.
She's multi-dimensional. She's multi-dimensional.
And then tomorrow I'm acting, and then I'm making some perfume. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? You just keep doing what you're doing. But I'm definitely grateful, because Selena has allowed me this outlet. She's allowed me, as a Mexican American, to understand, to be obviously not being privileged, coming from a family that was born and raised in Mexico, came from nothing and built something, and showing through hard work and determination, you can too. You can do the same thing too.
I want to bring Joey in and talk about your DJing, Joey, because I think it adds, you've been a journalist for a while, and you branched off into DJing, what, I don't know, 10 years ago? I don't know.
Not even.
Really? When?
You're going to be like the man where like, woo,
I mean, it feels still so new to me, but I know it's not.
No, you've been doing at least
5.
5? Okay.
I don't know.
I think it's been a little bit longer than that,
Yeah,
but you do DJing now too. DJ Joey.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Joey Guerra. I love that. And so, but you know, you basically take in a lot of the artists that you love listening to, and you create these nights, these special kind of DJing, you know, nights. And how do you enjoy that?
It's great. I mean, obviously with the pandemic right now, I haven't been able to do it, but you know, I was DJing at South Beach pretty regularly. I was DJing at Meteor pretty regularly. Both of those bars closed. I do stuff at Market Bar. Right. You know, I did House of Blues for New Year's Eve. I did a Selena tribute at Warehouse Live. And then when this whole thing started, I've done a few DJ sets here from home. And yeah, I try to always pick a theme. You know, so I've done Beyonce nights. I did a Prince night. I did a 90s night. I did a girl group night.
You've done Selena nights, haven't you?
And yeah, and of course I've done Selena. And it's, you know, and since I've been at home, I think I've done 2 Selena nights. I did a Madonna night. And like for the Selena, it's really hard because her catalog is very limited. I mean, there's only a certain number of songs, right? Sure. And, you know, she put out a lot of music, but a lot of the earlier stuff, you know, most people probably aren't going to know. And, you know, so it's been a challenge to try to find like, I've been able to find like really cool remixes and stuff online that I've never heard before. So I've tried to incorporate a lot of that into what I do, just so people can hear something a little bit different. But it's been super fun. And yeah, I mean, it adds a whole other kind of dimension to what I'm doing because it kind of puts me, I think, on the other side, you know?
Do you think that people would know Tejano music if it weren't for Selena? I mean, in the mainstream?
I mean, probably not in the way they do now. There were really 3 artists at the time that were breaking beyond Texas. It was her, La Mafia, and Emilio. But she was the only female. I mean, La Mafia was playing in Mexico and doing those things. Emilio crossed over to country. He actually did country in English and had a couple of hits on the radio in English. But Selena was the only woman doing it. And the way her style of music was very different. And yeah, I think it was, you know, in a lot of ways at that time, it was the best thing that could happen for Tejano music, but in some ways it's the worst because nothing since then has been able to live up to her. And despite what people say, I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, nobody kind of really has gotten to that level of production or songwriting or diversity that she had, which is what made her so different and what kind of broke her out of Texas. And I think some of the artists forget that, you know, she had something very different and that's what made her stand out. So I think that would be the best path to follow. I mean, Tejano music is definitely still around. There are people who like it and love it, and you know, but the artists today that are very popular, that draw fans, that sell records, are the same artists that were doing that in the 90s. So there's not really a lot of new.
There hasn't been a lot of change.
That's the issue. Yeah, there's no propelling it forward. The same artists that were on stage with Selena when she was alive are still the ones making the music right now. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of where I think the conflict is, you know, that there needs to be more nurturing of new artists, more acceptance of new artists, because there are new artists, but they just don't get the attention for whatever reason.
Yeah. And do you think that J-Lo would be J-Lo without Selena?
I mean, I know people say if she'd never done the movie,
okay, so if you didn't know, J-Lo played Selena in the movie, and I think it was one of her first acting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that movie's what made her a star, for sure. Do I think she would have still become a star? Probably. I mean, maybe it would have taken a few more years, but yes, that movie definitely made her a star. But I do think that movie really opened the doors for her to become a singer and performer, because people, even though she was lip syncing in the movie, people associated her with music after that. So it wasn't that big of a leap to buy her as a singer and performer.
But she did do a good job in the movie. She really did.
She did amazing.
She captured Selena's essence so well. I mean, I don't know Selena like that, but from what we all know and see, she did that. She did for sure.
Well, one of the things that struck me when we went down to Corpus Christi for the MAC event several years ago is that we went to the Selena Museum, and I was able to see her clothes and her costumes, and I was just floored by the variety and just how beautiful some of the pieces were, and just how small she was. I was like, wow, she's a little bit
super tiny, right?
Small. Yes. So it's always interesting when you go to a museum like that and you see the original pieces that the person wore. I just think it's pretty amazing.
Well, not only that, I mean, just the talent that she was, not just behind the microphone. I mean, her imagination, what she's seen, what she could wear, and how she wore it so well, So, I mean, to have the eye for that and the talent to draw, sketch and things like that. I thought that was amazing too, for her to have all of these. I mean, she was just all around,
Exactly.
Amazing.
All right. So both of you being in music, and we've been talking about Selena, but let's talk about any other music people out there in the stratosphere who you really like. I know, Joey, that might be hard to narrow down, but if you had like several people like you listen to on a regular basis, who are those people? Who are those bands? Who?
You're asking me first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Oh, I'm looking around my room to see what posters are.
I know, right? When you're put on it's like, let him go first.
Are those CDs behind you?
Yes.
Those are all. How many CDs do you have?
That's one case. There's another case in front of me, and there are storage bins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow.
How many do you have, Joey?
Oh gosh, probably about 5,000.
5,000 CDs.
And you know what's funny, right? I currently do not have a CD player.
Okay. Okay.
But
which fascinates me more about you, the man who doesn't drive. Okay.
Yeah, I don't drive.
We've all said that. Me too. Me too.
Okay. For our people watching, Joey Guerra, our music critic who never misses a concert, is always on time never misses a deadline, does not drive.
I will walk if I have to get somewhere.
I don't know how he does not drive. So it can be done in Houston.
It can be, and I that's why when I see those articles, they frustrate me, because I'm like, you can get by without driving. I do.
Right? Oh my.
I think, and as I got older, the more people pushed me to drive, the more I didn't want to do it. Like, I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. So, but in terms of music, I think what I have been listening lately to a lot of Mariah Carey, just because of all this stuff going on with her, the book, and she just put out the Rarity CD. So I've been on this like Mariah Carey kick for like several weeks now.
Okay. And her voice is amazing though.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I don't know. What do I listen to? It is a tough question.
Okay, I have a question for you, and I'm gonna come back to you, Amanda. But Joey, since you have 5,000 CDs, what was your first CD?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think I bought two CDs at the same time. The first CDs I ever bought. I believe. Hold on. I
believe
it was Michael Jackson "Dangerous" and Paula Abdul's "Spellbound" CD. The second.
Okay, those are both good ones.
I think those were my first two that I bought. Yeah.
My first one, I won at a happy hour. They had like these happy hours where you could win like CDs or a CD player or something like that. And it was Fine Young Cannibals.
I had that on cassette.
I don't care what you said. That was an awesome CD. Oh,
I had
But
it
it's,
on
you know,
cassette.
so when my parents were alive, it's funny because like at that time, that's whenever CDs were just coming out. Like you had the cassette with the CD,
Sure.
right? You still
Sure.
had the transition of two. And what's so funny is that like mine was, I asked my mom, no me juegues con mi cucu. I swear, because my parents, like they would listen to this. True story, that one, and I'm too sexy for my shirt. Right?
That's funny.
But it's
Oh my God.
a true story. I don't know who sings that song, but it's like, no me juegues con mi cucu.
That's funny.
Joey, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
I know that song, yeah. Oh
That
my.
was one of my first CDs that I'd asked for.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That is too funny. Anyway, that's all
Oh
that was
my God.
All right, Joey, who is a music person who you would like to interview who you have not?
Hmm.
You've interviewed everybody. Joey Guerra has been a music critic for a decade plus.
You never got to interview Selena, right? No.
No.
Okay. I never asked that, so that's why I was wondering.
Yeah. That I've never interviewed. I mean, part of me wants to say Madonna, but I think I would be scared.
Would you?
She might make out with you.
No, I'd be scared that like she wouldn't like something I said or something.
Oh.
Like, because to me, when she does interviews, and I know part of it is just her, like that's her thing. She's
Yeah.
intimidating, you know. She likes to intimidate the people that interview her. She does it in a fun way sometimes, but
Prince was like that. Prince was like that. He did
Yeah,
very, very standoffish, very, you know, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been lucky to interview a lot of people that I've wanted to, but I'm trying to think. I'm looking around my room. But yeah, I think Madonna would be definitely at or near the top. I mean, and I've never really come close. So
That would be very interesting, though, because I mean, she's been around
Yeah.
for so long,
and I feel like as more time goes on, I feel like I'm more scared because she's done more interviews and she's like, what could you possibly ask her that she hasn't already answered?
Exactly.
And I feel like she'd tell you, that's a boring question,
Exactly. I'm not doing this.
Right.
All right, Amanda, if you had to be a tribute artist for another person, who would that be?
Celia Cruz.
That's a good one.
No, she wouldn't.
But that's a good one. I was supposed to see her last concert here in Houston,
Yeah.
and I had tickets to it, but the guy that I was with did not want to go.
What?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you went? Did you go? Who'd you go with? You didn't go at
I
all.
didn't go. That was a regret. But yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to last, but yeah.
Wow, that
All
is.
right. So you would really be a Celia Cruz?
No, I was joking. For I'm sorry. I joke around way too much.
I love her.
Like, you need to behave. No, me too. No. Growing up listening to her music, I mean, everything's a carnival, right? Like a party with her. And that's why she's just such a vibrant person. I mean, look at her till this day with her hot pink lipstick and her colorful hair.
Yeah.
She did the colorful hair before like a Nicki Minaj and all these other people came out,
Yes.
She was just a grand senora, like just
Yeah.
a big, So, I mean, for me, she does inspire me because, I mean, look at her. She went out there and just took up that stage,
She did.
But again, like for me, that is a good question. Who would I impersonate if it wasn't Selena?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Selena just, let's see. Man,
Silence.
it is.
No? Okay.
Juan Gabriel.
Juan
What were you going to say?
Juan Gabriel.
That would not be cute. That would
That would not be cute.
not be cute.
Honestly, I really don't know because I don't know if I could capture anybody else's presence the way that I do Selena. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know.
You could do Paula Abdul.
I love me some Paula Abdul.
You could do
So
Paula.
hearted snake. Look into his eyes. What? No, just kidding.
You could do Paula Abdul. She sure could.
And if you follow Amanda on TikTok, she does Selena, but she also does a really good Cardi B.
Oh, you know what?
Really?
Actually, okay, so may I say this? May I say this? Okay, this is just me being a man, of course. Like I always clown around. That's just me. Sometimes I may come off strong to some people, but that's my personality. So like for me, I could totally, so like my alter ego is like that Cardi B. Oh, like that is so me. Like my lips all of a sudden when I'm talking, like that's me right here, baby. Like I don't know, like my fingers do this, and I don't know. My lips look at my. I don't know why I do. It's just my alter ego. It's so funny because I always have done that. Like when I'm around my friends, or I joke around, or like that's just me. Like that. Plus, because I was born and raised in Tech City, you know, so it's like all of a sudden this little ghetto version of me comes out. It's like, hey, girl, you know, that's just me. You know, so yeah, I could totally be
Cardi B.
I don't know about the WAP and all,
Yeah,
but I mean the Cardi B.
I love Cardi B. I do.
Me too. And her style, I do. I absolutely adore her. I love the person that she is.
Yeah.
Because she's real. Like she's real. Like people might be offended by that, but she is real, and that's what I love about it. You know, and that's me too. Like I love Cardi B. Like that's just totally me. Sorry, my friends in the background.
See that? We're like, I just see some legs.
I think she has her shorts on. I'm actually out here in New Braunfels. I came to the river because we were celebrating my husband's birthday. So like, if I took you outside right now, you would see the mountain in the background. It's so beautiful right now.
Wow. Oh, well, happy birthday to him. Well, you know, we are actually running out of time. It's just been crazy that this hour goes so fast. But I thank you both for joining me. And I just wanted to ask what, during this time, what ways are you finding joy?
Me? Yeah. So like just being able to, like this new normal, okay? I found so many things that I'm actually, I guess I'm pretty good at, you know, like, so my happiness is waking up in the morning, drinking me a good cup of coffee, make sure I got my vitamins though, because I need a little energy. Because more often than ever, it's like I've been super lazy, you know, like you're just around and you're like just peeling yourself from the couch, you know, like what is to do today? Another load of laundry.
Yeah.
But like TikTok, being able to express myself and make friends that way, you know, and so I just find so much joy to be able to bring happiness to others by not only just doing the Selena stuff. You'll see me do a little bit of Selena on there too, but again, doing the acting side as Amanda, you know, so that's where my joy is right now. Joey, seeing your face.
Joey?
I hesitate to say this only because I'm supposed to write an article about it and I haven't.
What? Oh, does your editor know?
But you know, baking and cooking, I've really.
Oh, yes. Yeah. He's become a chef during this time. Joey's become a chef.
Like
what? You're gonna start your own little goodie factory?
I do.
Hook me up.
Like I've noticed it twice in the last couple of weeks, 2 days when I was like really frustrated and stressed out. My first thought was, I gotta go cook something, you know? Like seriously, really? That's where my mind went, you know? Like
you've become your mom.
But you know, yeah, I mean, it kind of relaxes me and it makes me happy, and I like when people eat my food, and you know, I like to know what they think of it, and I'm not like afraid to like. I feel like there's a big part of me that's afraid to try new things or afraid to like, you know, do something different. But like with cooking, I'm like, okay, what about this and what about this and what about this? Like I've been using ube, which is a Filipino sweet potato in a lot of my recipes now, and so that would for me be it right now.
That's fantastic. Well, Joey, you know, you have a test kitchen over here. We have some, you know, hands up. I
need to start bringing stuff and dropping it on your step.
We will have, we can test it out. You know, very discerning palates over here.
The Joy Cooking Hour.
Exactly.
Oh, you could do that, Joey. You should.
I know. That is true. We should do a cooking show with Joey.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Well, thank you both. Yes, Joey Guerra, Houston Chronicle, music critic, and for people to follow you, they can go to
all across all social media. Joey Guerra at Joey Guerra, JoeyGuerra.
Okay. And Amanda Solis, Selena, tribute artist and recording artist. How do we follow you and find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Amanda Solis Music, online at Amanda Solis Music. The only different ones are on TikTok and Instagram. It's at Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, but you can still find me under Amanda Solis. It's BIDIBIDIBOMBUM on all social media platforms.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. This is a Joy Hour. I'm Joy Sewing with the Houston Chronicle, and I thank you. So bye.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you, Joy. Thank you for this opportunity. See you later, Joey.
Bye.